We are co-sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents. We're co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan. L'Refuah Shalema for Shoshana Bas Penina, Simone Bas Rachel. We're co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lili Nishmas Yitzchak Ben Avram Yehuda Levi, co-sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for his children Eli and Orit and Ora, by Berich Growasser for my Refuah, my Shmeir Ben Esther Fradel, and Hakar Satov to the Shir, and by Shalom Fogel, Eli Nishmas Yaakov Zeb Ben Yud Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, and Yosef Ben Sion Ben Yaakov Zev. Their neshama should have an aliyah. We are holding on this fine Wednesday evening 2 lines from the bottom of Lamed Hamid Beis. As we welcome in Irving Fishbaum, we welcome in Saba, Jay Siegel, Yaakov Warman, Baruch Ian, Mark Frankel, Marshall Castle, Stephen Holtzman, Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Eddie Chazan, Dr. Yudel, Yisrael Fisher, Ruvain Shannon. Ruvain Shannon is struggling with the flu. We wish you, in the name of the entire Shira, Refuah Shalema, B'Sei Shecha Yisrael, and glad to have you, even not well, coming on the Shir. We welcome in Berish Gesman. Berish, you'll be back from Ma'ariv tomorrow night? Good. I'm telling you, this has been a struggle this week. Nachman Chapler, Dr. Guy, Reuven Pollack, Michal, Akta, Yitzi Fuchs. Yitzi, we hope you feel better. Ben Kaniel.
Have pneumonia. Yitzchak Mordechai Ben Esther Bracha.
Yitzchak Mordechai Ben Esther Bracha. I told you to stay away from Marshall. Abe Arbach, Rabbi Kranz, Abraham Rezepkowitz, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Yitzi Muller. He's laughing. You see, he's laughing. He says, you're lucky you didn't have meningitis when you're near him.
Bourbonitis. He's got bourbonitis.
Okay.
Come on.
He's taking some antioxidant in a long time.
And over here we have Gedalia Engel, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram Chavin, and Shlomi Yehuda. Is Shlomi Yehuda here?
He was here earlier.
Okay.
I think he was in the hall.
And David Helf got on Kol Lashon. So now, the Gemara says as follows. Remember, we wanted to say that there's a difference between a carbon sibur and a carbon yochid. And because we wanted to say that it's possible, according to Abaya, that Lamed Hey Amid Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. It's possible that according to Abaya wanted to say that an execution will not take a person away from the altar when he's doing a communal service. But when he's doing a private service, then is what the pasuk refers to when it says, "Me'im mizbechi tikachenu lamos." Even from my altar, we take him to be executed. Rava is going to prove not this way. Amar Rava, loite ritzicha doicha carbon yachid, a execution shouldn't supersede a private sacrifice. Mikal v'chaimer, he should exercise a kal v'chaimer, which is ma yom tov shenitcha mipnei carbon yachid. A yom tov is pushed aside even for carbon yachid. We'll see that this is a machloikis, but there is an opinion that you could bring nedarim and nedavos, private offerings, even on yom tov. So my yom tov shenitcha mipnei carbon yachid. Ein ritzicha daichaisai. We don't execute on yom tov. So we see that yom tov is pushed aside by a carbon, and execution can't even push aside yom tov. Carbon yachid shudaiches a yom tov, an individual's carbon, like a shlamim which supersedes yom tov. Einoi din shalai teritzicha daichaisa. Surely execution should not supersede the yom tov. So the Gemara says, "Hanicha lamandi amar Ein Nedarim Nedavis Kraven B'Yom Tov. It's good according to the Man Yamar that says that you cannot offer private offerings on Yom Tov, so you cannot bring a shlamim on Yom Tov. So a private offering is taka, does not supersede a Yom Tov. So then that's what the pasuk is saying. Elaman Yom Nedarim Nedavis Kraven B'Yom Tov. But according to the Man Yamar that says that private free will offerings are offered on Yom Tov, so that means that Avodah supersedes Yom Tov. So if Avodah supersedes Yom Tov, and we don't even do executions on Yom Tov, then surely execution shouldn't be strong enough to take the person away from the carbon to have him executed. Ma'ikal Meimar. Elama Rava, so Rava explains as follows. Loi mabai lamandi yam and the dharma and the davas craving b'yom tiv. It's not a question, according to the Mandi Yamar, that Nadarm and Nadavas are offered on Yom Tov. So if Nadarm and Nadavas are offered on Yom Tov, and that would mean that Avodah supersedes Yom Tov, and since Yom Tov supersedes executions, then and Avodah supersedes Yom Tov, then surely Avodah should supersede executions, and we shouldn't take a person away from the Mizbeach to execute him. So then the pasuk of Mizbechi Tikechenu Lamus would not be upheld. So it must be that we don't say that Kal V'chaimer, and that Me'im Mizbechi Tikechenu Lamus nullifies that Kal V'chaimer, and it nullifies it across the board, that we don't take that we take a person to execute him away from the altar, both for a private carbon and for a public carbon. That private offerings are not offered up on Yom Tov. So that means that Yom Tov supersedes the Avodah, and therefore you would have no Kal V'chaimer, that the Avodah should supersede executions. So therefore we would say that the pasuk of Me'im Mizbechi Tikechenu Lamos could be talking about a private offering, but maybe a public offering, which does supersede Yom Tov, because we bring a carbon tamid on Yom Tov, right? So maybe a public offering does supersede the execution, like Abaya says, so that if a person is offering the tamid or the musaf, maybe we don't take him away to execute him. But the Gemara now throws in an interesting element of the drasha. Hoksiv me'im mizbechi. It says, from my altar. What part of the altar is dedicated exclusively to Hashem? The tamid, which is offered every day, and it only is Hashem. It's kula ala Hashem. Mizbechi amiyuchadli, umayninu tamid, the communal offering. And yet it says that even for the communal offering, Me'im Mizbechi Tikechenu Lamos, that you take him away to execute him even when he's doing the communal offering. V'amrakmana Me'im Mizbechi Tikechenu Lamos. So Rava argues on Abaya and says that even for a communal offering, we take him away from doing the communal offering to execute him. If I could trouble you for a cup of cold seltzer. Now, Dine Mominis, Hatmeyois Vataras. Financial matters, Tomantara. Amarav, Anoah Avi Minyana Debe Rebbe. Now we said that by financial matters, we could start from the head judge. It's only by capital cases that we start from the side. So Amar Rav, Anoavi b'minyana de Rebbe. I was in the court of the great Rebbe. Uminoi didai having miskalei bereisha. And even though it was a monetary matter, we started from the side. But we said in monetary matters, we start from the head. Not masculinum in a gadol tonight. So why didn't they start with Rebbe, with Rabbeinu HaKadosh? Amar Rabba Berei de Rava v'Isei Rab Hillel Berei de Rav Valis. So Rabba, the son of Rava, and others say Rab Hillel, the son of Rabbi Valis, says, Shani minyana de Rebbe. Rebbe was extremely humble. And it's different than minyana de Rebbe. The kulu minyonayu minatzad avi miskale. Because of Rebbe's extreme humility, even in monetary matters, they started from the side. He didn't start from himself. Thank you very much. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nהיה b'dvaro. Now, V'amar Rabba Berei de Rava, and Rabba the son of Rava said, V'yisei Reb Hillel Berei de Rav Valis, Miyamois Moshe v'ad Rebbe, from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu until Rebbe, Lo matzinu Torah u'gedula b'makom echad. We didn't find Torah and power and greatness in the same person. Says Gemara, V'loi v'ha'avi Yeshua. Says Gemara, no, there was his equal.
Same place?
Yeah, in the same person. There wasn't Torah and Gedula in the same person. Says Gemara, V'loi ha'avi Yeshua. Yeshua, wasn't he preeminent? Says Gemara, no, there was Elazar HaKohen as well. V'avi Pinchas, wasn't he preeminent? Hava Zakanim, there were elders. V'avi Shaul, but what about Shaul? Says Gemara, Hava Shmuel, there was the great Shmuel HaNavi. V'anoch Nafshe, but Shmuel passed away, and after Shmuel passed away, Shaul was then stood by himself. Kulu Shnei Kaminu, we mean all his life. In other words, all of the years that it doesn't mean literally all of his life, because when Moshe Rabbeinu was a baby, Amram was greater than him, but it means all of his tenure. V'avi David, what about David? Didn't he stand by himself? No. Havi Ira HaYeiri. There was Ira HaYeiri, who was a Rebbe, and David wasn't unique. Says the Gemara, V'hanoch Nafshe, but Ira HaYeiri passed away. Again, it means Kulu Shnei Kamrinan, his entire tenure. V'avi Shloimeh, no. Avi Shimon ben Gera, there was Shimon ben Gera, but Shimon ben Gera was killed. Again, Kulei Shnei Kamrei. Says Gemara, Havi Chizkiah, but what was about Chizkiah? Well, remember, during the lifetime of Chizkiah, Havi Shevna. There was Shevna who had 130,000 students. Well, Iktel, but Shevna was killed, as we learned in that Sari, when he was caught outside and the door slammed by the Malach behind him, and he was killed by Sanhedrin. Says again, Kulu Shnei Kamrin. It means all of Chizkiah's lifetime. V'avi Ezra, the great Ezra. He said Ezra was like Moshe. Says no. Have Nehemiah ben Chachlaya, who had the power vested by the Persian king. So Ezra wasn't Torah Gedula b'makom echad. Amar Rav Acha bar Ava, Afani Aimer. I'll say another rule. Miyamois Rebbe ad Rav Ashi, from the days of Rebbe until Rav Ashi, the great editor of Shas, Lo matzinu Torah Gedula b'makom echad. We didn't have Torah and Gedula in one place. V'loi, says the Gemara, Havahuna bar Nasan. So what do you mean? Here V'loi means something else. Here it means that Rav Ashi wasn't preeminent, because in his time there was also Huna bar Nasan. Says, no, Huna bar Nasan meichav avikoyef leila Rav Ashi. Huna bar Nasan was submissive to Rav Ashi. Now, just getting underway over here on a beautiful evening, 28 Zoomers strong and waiting for more. waiting for more. I know Shelley, who's back from Phoenix, told me he had a wedding, but he's going to try to tune in from the wedding. I don't.
Gary sends his apologies. He's not feeling well still.
We also, I don't see Mo Kushner with us tonight. Missing some other people also. A.B. Spry is not with us tonight. But Itchy is here. Itchy is here. The one and only Itchy is here. Where's Eddie Chazan? Oh, he's there. He's in blackout mode. Okay. 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 Anyway, Dinei Nefashis Maschilin Min Hatzad. By Dinei Nefashis, we don't start with the head judge. Here's Ilya Shutman. We don't start with the head judge because if we would start with the head judge, nobody would be able to argue on him. Minat Emiliam Ravach Bar Papa Amakra Loisana Al Riv, and we darshan it Loisana Al Rav. Don't argue with the eminent judge. Now, this means that when he states a lone opinion, you can't argue with him. But once other opinions chime in, then you could argue. So you can't start with the preeminent judge because then nobody would be able to argue. Rabbi Babachana Rav Yochanan Mehacha, the Yomer David la'anashav, David told his men when they had to make a decision, this is a metaphorical pasuk, Chigru ish es charboy, everyone gird his sword for the Melchamtei shel Torah, for the battle of Torah, and Vayachru ish es charboy, Vayachger gam David es charboy. And David also girded his sword, so David put his opinion subsequently, and not initially. Amar Rav, this is very interesting. Shaina Adam l'Talmidai, a Rebbe could teach something to his Talmud, and then v'doni mai b'dinei nefashos, and then he could judge with him a capital case, and the Talmud's opinion could be counted as an independent opinion, even though the Rebbe taught him something, right? Even so, his opinion counts as an independent opinion. So the Gemara says, Meisvei ha-tyrus va-tmeis, tyrus and tmeis, which could really be judged by one person. So, Avu B'nai, a father and a son, a Rabbi Talmidai, a Rebbe and a Talmud, Meinun Lahem Shnayim. They could be counted as two, because by Tumah V'Tara, even one person could judge it. Dinei Mamanis, V'dinei Nefashis, V'dinei Makais, financial matters, of course, matters of life and death, and flogging, Kiddush HaChodesh, the sanctification of the new moon, V'ibur Shana, and the intercalation of the year, adding an extra month, Avu B'nai, Harav Talmidai, a father and a son, a Rebbe and a Talmud, Ein Moinin Lehen Ela Echad. So you see a Rebbe and a Talmud, you can't count, you can only count as one. We don't count the Talmud as an independent opinion. Says the Gemara, Kikam Rav, when does Rav say the Rebbe and the Talmud can be counted as two opinions? Kagain Rav Kahana and Rav Asi. Like, for example, Rav Kahana and Rav Asi, these disciples, they need to get from the Rebbe the Messiah, but then they could reason independently on their own. Rav Kahana and Rav Asi, the Ligmarei, the Rav Avitzricha, they need to hear the tradition, because that was why Torah was originally not written down. The reason why Torah is Torah Shebal Peh is that Michal Avram, if he wanted to learn Gemara, he would have to come to a Rebbe. There's no other way. Now he could use an art scroll. So Torah Shebal Peh ensured that you had to have a tradition, that you had to have a Messiah. So when could they be counted as an independent opinion? They had to hear the Messiah, but ulizberei the Rav, but for the lumdus, for the logic, they didn't need the Rebbe. They already had a developed, fully mature, developed mind to have their logic on their own. Okay, 3 lines from the top of Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. A few reminders. First of all, we do have a Chumash here this evening, and we do have a sponsor. Last night, the 10th hour, Ben Kaniel came and is sponsoring the Chumash here. Tomorrow, we start a new Masechta Mishnayos. We start Makis. So anybody who wants to sponsor Masechtas Makis can let me know. We are...
Because I'm not the one receiving them.
Oh, and if...
Cost, Rob?
What?
How much does it cost?
Well, I already... Yisrael, are you sponsoring Marcus? I can't hear you.
I already sent it in.
So you could be a co-sponsor. So $500 if you want. Yeah, Eddie?
As a co-sponsor?
Yeah. Is that good?
Do the installment plan, Rob?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Eddie, you supply the Ben Gay.
By the way, if you're a sponsor of Marcus, you get to do lashes on Marshall whenever you want. All you have to do is go to Chicago, and I supply the Ben Gay.
Let me turn around and face the crowd. I'm ready.
Do they allow the Cabernet sales on airplane?
Yeah. By the way, I also have the whips. I have the whips at home.
I want chains also, whips and chains.
Chaim Lerner is joining us.
I didn't know you were into whips and chains, Marshall.
Chaim Lerner.
My wife.
Anyway, says the Gemara, as we welcome in Chaim Lerner. Chaim, we are on Lamed Vav Amud Beis, 3 lines from the top. Amar Rebbe Avo, Asara Dvarim Yesh.
That makes 30.
Correct. Again, Amar Rebbe Avo, Asara Dvarim Yesh Ben Dina Mamonis L'Dinei Nefashis. There are 10 differences between Dinei Mamonis and Dinei Nefashis. The Kulon, and what's unique to capital cases, Ein Noyagin B'Shar Niskel, is not practiced when we have to stone an ox, Chutz Me'es Mishloisha. Except for a bezdin of 23, we need a bezdin of 23 also to stone an ox. Says the Gemara, Mirari Mili. How do we know this? How do we know, for example, that you could convict an ox with a majority of 1 person? You can't convict a person unless you have a majority of 2 people. But you could convict an ox with a majority of 1 person. How do we know that? You should not tilt the mishpat of the poor person in his quarrel. Mishpat ev yoincha I atamata, you can't tilt it and say he's guilty with a majority of 1. Aval atamata mishpat shel shar niskel, but you can tilt the judgment of a shar niskel even with a majority of 1. So the Gemara says, Asara Hotesava. It's not 10. There's only 9. Says the Gemara, what do you mean there's only 9? Ha'asara Ketani. Says the Gemara, well, Mishum de Eina Kol Kasherim, the Eser Mishloisha Chadahi. The din that not everybody is kosher, meaning that a mamzer is not kosher for dinei nefashis, and the din of 23 is learned out from the same source. So therefore that should count only as 1. Why? Therefore there's only 9, there isn't 10. Says, there's another one. The Tanya, Sanhedrin, you can't sit on the Sanhedrin someone who has cruel tendencies. Zaken, an old person. An old person has less rachmanis. Visaris, a eunuch who can't have children. Umishein leibanim. Rabbi Yehuda Moisef Afar Zori. So all of these people that have children, they're used to being more merciful, more forgiving. Already you don't have children, and they're less merciful. V'chilufeyem b'mesis, and to the contrary, by one who's a mesis. By a mesis, we use somebody who has cruel tendencies. You shouldn't have compassion. You shouldn't cover over him. Just keep in mind, whenever we really throw the book at the mesis, I mean, we treat the mesis much worse than Marshall. I mean, the mesis really gets it. And that should remind us how terrible it is to cause other people to do wrong things. That's a terrible thing. To introduce somebody to the bad habit of talking in shul. To introduce a child to, it's a crime to take a teenager and say, come, you got to taste this single malt scotch. You know, children have become mamish drunks because people at a young age, took them under their wing and taught them the pleasures of drinking. Now, it's a terrible thing to be a mesis. Hakol ksherin lodain dinei mamanis. Everybody is kosher to paskin dinei mamanis. Hakol la'asiyei mai. Everybody. What does that come to include? Amar Rav Yehuda la'asiyei mamzer comes to include that even a mamzer could paskin dinei mamanis. Says Tanina chadazimna. We already learned that. Kol ha'roya lodain dinei nefashis. Whoever could paskin capital cases, roy ladon dinei mamnis, could paskin financial matters. V'yesh roy ladon dinei mamnis. There are those that are fit for financial matters. Vein roy ladon dinei nefashis, but not capital crimes. V'avina ban, we wonder la'asiyei, what's it coming to include? V'am Rabbi Yehuda la'asiyei mamzer. So we already said that a mamzer is kosher for dinei mamnis. Says Gemara, well, one comes to tell us a mamzer, and one comes to tell us a convert. Chadul la'asiyei mamzer, and chadul la'asiyei ger, v'chadul la'asiyei mamzer. And why do I need two? V'tzricha, because the ger and the mamzer each have different superior points. The Ashmina ger, ger could pass dinei nefashis because a ger could marry a regular Yisrael. The roy lavei b'kal. Aval mamzer who can't marry, Rabbi Yova mamzer b'kal Hashem, emaloi. V'yashmina mamzer, a mamzer came from two kosher yidden. The ba metipa kshera came from a kosher drop of semen. It came from tipa kshera. Aval ger, the loiba metipa kshera, it came from tipa srucha, from a goyim. Emaloi, so tzricha that both the mamzer and the ger are allowed to paskin dinei mamanis. Ve'ena kol ksherin lodain dinei nefashis. Not everybody is allowed to paskin dinei nefashis. My timer. The Tani Rav Yosef kishem shebezdin menukin b'tzedek. Just like Bezdin has to be clean in righteousness, kach menukin mikol mum. So it has to be clean from any blemish of pedigree. Amar Rameim Maikra, kulach yafa rayasi, you are beautiful, my maiden, my friend. Or mum ein bach, says the Gemara, but maybe this means that they don't have a physical blemish. V'dilma mum mamish. And that's true. The Sanhedrin can't have a mum. That's the famous story that Rabbi Tendler said over by Rav Moshe's Levaya. Rav Tendler, Tzaddik Livracha, said over by my Rebbe, Zechat Tzadik L'Vracha, Zchus Yagan Aleinu, he said over that when Ramosha was having the pacemaker put in, he asked an inordinate amount of questions. And Rav Tendler, who was there at the time, asked Ramosha why he's asking the doctor so many questions. So he says, well, hopefully soon Mashiach is going to come, and then Mistoma going to ask him to sit on the Sanhedrin. That's what Ramosha said. And he wanted to know if the pacemaker is going to make him a Balmum. Okay? So, that's... Marshall doesn't think about becoming a member of the Sanhedrin.
I'm in charge of it. I don't have to worry about being a member.
No, he's not worried about that. He's going to serve the drinks. Says the Gemara, and he's going to have a Frankfurter stand outside of the court. Says the Gemara, so maybe it means V'dilma mum mamish. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov Amar Kra v'tziatzvu sham imach. They will stand there with you. Imach b'doimin lach. They have to be like you, Moshe Rabbeinu, with a good pedigree. Says, well, Dima Hasa Mishum Shechina. Maybe over there we need an extra standard because they're going to be with the Shechina. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar Kra v'nasa itcha. They will carry with you. Itcha b'doimim lach lihavi. They'll carry with you. And over there, those are the Sanhedrois that Yisrael divided for the people, which was going to be without the Shekhinah. And over there, too, we learn they have to be without any blemish of pedigree, because that's already an extra pasuk. So we learn that a mamzer is not okay, and a ger would not be okay either.
Why was Rav Moshe afraid? And if it's not referring to a mum mamish.
What? A mum mamish is also no good.
Oh, I thought it's...
No, it's also no good. Now, we're going to stop over here. We did the Mishnah Yomis already, and now we're going to do the Chumash here.